Ladies and gents, welcome to GBX, and this is US aircraft carrier attack plan on Iran. Another by the AI Telly. Okay, I recently watched a video about how would Iran attack the aircraft carrier or the armada that is in Iran or close to Iran. And there were some decent points there, but most of the points I thought, yeah, I think US can plan ahead. US already has plans for it. Like they already have preparation for it. Like what if this, okay, let's say a container civilian ship comes to attack an armada. They will never let that ship come close. They'll give the warning, don't come close. If they still come close, they'll basically sink it. Things like that. So yeah, there was some good points about submarines and things, but I don't know. But this is opposite of that. What is US aircraft carrier gonna do in Iran? Because things are ramping up right now. Another destroyer was sent to Iran now. There's like 6-7 ships now. So things are ramping up as we speak right now. So next few days, day or two, we'll see what happens. We'll see if this de-escalates or escalates further. Who knows? Let's do this one.
Why is the Pentagon rushing to move a slow, floating city halfway across the world at a burn rate of millions per day? In an era of stealth bombers that can strike anywhere on Earth in hours, why do we still rely on these massive assets? Moving a U.S. supercarrier from the South China Sea to the Persian Gulf isn't just a road trip. It is a logistical nightmare. We are talking about a massive operation that burns through more than $6.5 million every single day. But here is why they do it.
We have a saying in India called "kitna deti hai," which means what is the mileage of it. This has become such a joke, not joke, but such a thing that even if you buy something, let's just say a Harley Davidson, a massive 2000cc V-twin, kitna deti hai? That's the question. People will ask jokingly. So this is whole another level. Millions of worth of fuel every fucking day. Basically the worst fuel economy in the history of anything. Apart from, I'm guessing, afterburner jets, probably. I don't know.
A bomber strikes and leaves, but a carrier strike group stays. It parks 70 fighter jets off the coast of an adversary and leaves them there. It creates a no-fly zone that a bomber simply cannot maintain. But how exactly do U.S. attack operations and logistical support actually work? Part 1.
Why is so the Ford class? Gerald R. Ford is at Venezuela. This is Lincoln. That's there, right?
The naval pivot. The chess pieces are moving. We are tracking the largest naval redistribution since the 2003 invasion of Iraq.
What?
The Pentagon is emptying the Pacific to flood the Persian Gulf. But where are all the U.S. nuclear carriers stationed when not at war? And how many will travel to Iran and the Middle East? On paper, the number is 11 nuclear-powered supercarriers, divided into two distinct classes. First, the Nimitz class. These are the 10 workhorses of the fleet commissioned between 1975 and 2009. Second, the Ford class. Right now, there is only one, the USS Gerald R. Ford. This new generation uses electromagnetic catapults to launch jets faster. Well, let's look at this scenario: what happened when the Department of War gives a green signal. The USS Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group is typically stationed in the South China Sea to deter Chinese vessels. However, upon receiving flash priority orders, it can sprint to the Middle East in just a week. It has to transit the Malacca Strait, the choke point between Malaysia and Indonesia. Meanwhile,
I mean, that choke point is only a threat if China is trying to attack you. Yeah, I mean, China would not attack America for Iran, definitely. So that's not an issue there, obviously. And is there any other country like America who has stationed this many warships and things around the world? Like, if you go to South China Sea, there's already a Lincoln there, Lincoln aircraft carrier. You go to Venezuela, you go to some other place, and yeah, there are already aircraft carriers there. America's presence, military presence everywhere. I don't think there's another country which is like that.
the U.S. can launch another nuclear aircraft carrier. The USS George H.W. Bush will depart from Norfolk, Virginia, likely crossing the Atlantic to enter the Mediterranean. This leaves the Pacific dangerously thin, with only the USS Ronald Reagan or its replacement, the George Washington, potentially available in Japan. The plan is to have 2 full strike groups off the coast of Iran within 10 days to form a pincer deterrent.
What about, I thought only 2 aircraft carriers available right now, even though there should be 3. So it's probably Gerald Ford and like the Lincoln, right? Lincoln is the name, right? Or am I messing that up? Lincoln is the one who went from Japan to Iran, right? Another one is Ford. There should be a third, but it's like under maintenance or something. There should be 12 or 11, 12 of them, a 33% ratio. Like three of them are like active, three of them are in reserve, and or was it four or something like that, right? Like 3, 4 should be active at one time, but it's only 2 or something, as people told me. I don't know.
Here's part 2, the missile logistics. Following the first strike against Iran's nuclear bunkers, the U.S. had actually removed 60% of its missile defense systems from Qatar and the Middle East. So how many missiles are being transported from different parts of the world to fix this? The answer is fill the sky with these Globemasters. The U.S. military needs a massive airlift of roughly 4 to 6 Patriot batteries and components for a THAAD battery. This involves over 300 heavy transport flights. But here's the detail most people miss. The U.S. needs a flood of aging Patriot missiles to be pulled from stockpiles in Germany and Japan. Why move old missiles? Because they are the perfect cheap solution for Iran's thousands of Shahed drones. Commanders are hoarding the brand new scarce PAC-3 kinetic interceptor.
America works in the tier level. What is the cheapest thing we can use to get the job done? This is where logistics come into play. If you have logistics right, if you have statistician, did I say it right? Yeah, I don't know why I started there. If you have really world-class people like that who are working for you, you're probably going to do that. What is the cheapest thing we can use to get the job done? Because why waste a costlier thing? So they'll just say, what Iran has, okay, what we can use against Shahed. This one, there you go. Why use the costlier one?
For the hypersonic and ballistic missile threats. The military is clearing out the Cold War inventory to save the modern tech for the big one. And part 3 is the cost of war. What is the cost involved in this massive transfer? War is expensive, but moving an army is a fortune. First, the ships. Operating a single carrier strike group costs between $6.5 million and $9 million per day. That covers nuclear maintenance, jet fuel, and food for 7,000 sailors.
9 million a day. So in a week, you'll easily waste anywhere from like what 63 million or something, a 2 week or something. It's gonna take a week, like at best, right? Like week of transport, but still, you can really burn up like 100 million or something just in a week or two with all the destroyers, aircraft carrier. That's a big fucking money.
Second, the ammo. A single THAAD interceptor costs $12.7 million. The SM-3 missiles on the destroyers cost $28 million per shot. If you combine the airlift fuel, the naval surge, and the pre-positioned ammo, this 30-day deterrence operation has a burn rate exceeding $1.5 billion, and that is before a single shot is fired. In part 4, we'll look at...
Holy shit! You gonna burn 1.5 billion just as a fucking fuel? Essentially, I get it, like it's everything, every logistics, but before even firing a round, this is the cost. This is like, okay, I'm gonna go for a trip there. What you using? Oh, it's gonna be like fuel, a 5-star hotel. It's 1.5 billion. This is that equivalent to that. This is insane. I feel like American people might be pissed off if that happens, right? I don't know. Would they? I don't know. Something isn't a problem until it's on the face. Otherwise, people won't realize, because Biden burned $1 trillion after COVID, right? $1 trillion or something just to give to people, which didn't even go to the most of the people. Like rich people got a lot of money. Like for what? So like, is the 1.5 billion a lot compared to that? Especially when it's about your reputation. When Iran is literally flexing in front of you. Yeah, 1.5 at that point doesn't feel that much.
What is the logistic nightmare involved in sustaining this force? The nightmare is access. As of January 14, 2026, we have reports of a partial evacuation of the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar due to rising tensions. This is the nightmare scenario. If Qatar or the UAE deny the U.S. Navy access to their ports for fear of Iranian retaliation, the carrier strike group loses its pit stop. The Lincoln is nuclear, but her escort destroyers need diesel every 3 days. Without a friendly port, the U.S. Navy must create a steel chain of supply-class oilers stretching 7,000 miles.
Don't you have an island there close to India? What is it called? I forgot the name of that, where the B-2s were stationed, right? whatever, south of India, there's an island there which US controls, if I remember correctly. Can't you use that as a hub?
Miles back to Diego Garcia or Guam.
Diego Garcia.
If that chain breaks, the most powerful fleet in history becomes a floating museum. We cannot ignore this part 5, the air power alternative. But what happens if the carriers don't get there in time? Can the US fight without its Navy? The answer is yes. Focusing only on the slow-moving ships is a mistake. The United States holds an ace up its sleeve that doesn't need to wait for a clear shipping lane. Even without a carrier strike group, the US can deliver precision strikes for weeks to come. This is the domain of Air Force Global Strike Command. They can deploy the Big 3 strategic bombers anywhere in the world in just 24. They can deploy the Big 3 strategic bombers.
There you go. B-2 Spirit. Basically terror for Iran or any other country. Right? B-52 Stratofortress, just like heavyweight, you're like your common bomber. And B-1 Lancer for high-speed thing. This is insane. Out of I use B-52, like that's still risking against S-300s, right? However bad S-300s are. Use B-1 Lancer and B-2 Spirits, like, I don't know. Yeah, they can use bombers, right, from Diego Garcia. Aircraft carrier can attack for a long time. That's how they're made. That was a vision for aircraft carrier, so they can just do their own thing without much of any support or any supply line. But yeah, destroyers, and they might have a problem.
Bombers anywhere in the world in just 24 hours. First, you have the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. This is the door kicker. It is the only aircraft in history capable of taking off from Missouri, flying non-stop to Iran, penetrating the most advanced air defense networks undetected, and dropping massive bunker busters on deep underground facilities. Second, the B-1B Lancer, known as the Bone. This supersonic heavy hitter carries the largest payload of any U.S. bomber. It can dash in at high speed and low altitude.
Yeah, there is that, right? Like I was surprised by that, not gonna lie, the first time I heard it. The B-1 Lancer has the highest payload. I mean, it looks like a jet plane. What you mean it has the... Because the way it looks. But when you see the size of it, it's massive. It can use more payload than Stratofortress and even like B-2 stealth bomber.
To deliver massive barrages of cruise missiles or satellite-guided bombs to clear the path. And finally, the B-52 Stratofortress. It may look old, but do not underestimate it. It acts as a flying missile truck, capable of launching long-range cruise missiles from hundreds of miles away, well outside the reach of Iranian air defenses.
What about that one? You know, like dropping a container. I forgot the name of the system. Dropping a container type thing, which has multiple missiles in itself, that cruise missile that can charge. What was the name of that? I forgot. I watched Sandbox and other videos as well.
Let's take a look at how this works. The first line attack involves the B-2 stealth bomber moving in to destroy high-value air defense systems like the famous S-400 Triumph and other surface-to-air missiles, effectively disabling them.
Iran doesn't have S-400. What are you talking about? I'm pretty sure they only have S-300. But if they got S-400 recently, that would be weird.
By using its stealth technology.
No, they won't be. Like, S-400 takes time. Like, even if you want S-400, Russia will probably make one for you in like it will take few years. They don't have S-400, I'm pretty sure.
Next, the B-1 Lancer flies at a very low altitude towards enemy targets to take out older anti-aircraft guns and missiles. This clears the way for conventional aircraft like the B-52 Stratofortress, which can then sweep in to destroy any critical infrastructure without facing anti-aircraft threats. This is the reason they need both the B-2 stealth bomber and conventional bombers, as there are only 19 units of the B-2 Spirit in service to date. But let's move back to the Super Carrier Strike Group. A typical carrier strike group might comprise of 5 to 7 of these ships. At the center sits the aircraft carrier. These carriers can accommodate a maximum of 130 fighter jets. Flanking each side are 4 destroyers. They could be the Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, predominantly used for anti-air warfare. Leading the battleship at the front is a Ticonderoga-class cruiser. These ships are multi-mission, covering air warfare, undersea warfare launching torpedoes, naval surface fire support, and surface warfare. At the back is the frigate class, generally serving as a light escort with a focus on anti-surface and anti-air roles, with a lesser degree of capability than larger ships. Depending on the mission, nuclear-powered Virginia-class submarines animated in our recent videos can also be added to the carrier strike group to seek.
Wait a minute, why didn't they send submarine? What is the most powerful submarine class? Damn, I forgot the line. Name of this class is the aircraft carrier. What is the name of the submarine? I don't know. What is the class? US has the most powerful submarine in the world. US has most powerful aircraft. US has more powerful plane. US has more powerful weapon. Yeah, US has all most powerful. Why am I even saying this? US has the most powerful submarine in the world. Why not send that there? Because last time I'm pretty sure submarine provided like a Tomahawk missile and everything support. Submarine did the support. Why? I don't know. Why not use destroyers? But okay, because submarine probably has much higher payload. I don't know. But yeah, submarine is like a really heavyweight thing for USA. They could have just used that.
Out and destroy hostile surface ships and submarines. A typical carrier air wing can include the Grumman E-2 Hawkeye. This aircraft flies ahead of the aircraft carrier, scanning the battlefield with its large radome radar. Simply put, it acts as the scout, providing early warnings of any enemy activity up to almost 100 kilometers away.
This is the most instrumental thing in any military, let alone American. Your early warning detection, or your eyes basically, has to be perfect. If you get this right, you're probably gonna have a fine day on war, on battlefield. But if this is fucked, you're probably fucked. This is literally your eyes. Before even you do anything, this will see everything and tell everything. This is why US is trying to make B-21 and F-35 and F-47 like a hive-mind type thing, where it just give like information to each other. So it creates this kind of a map. So it doesn't completely have to rely on this thing, early warning detections. It is instrumental, but at least with that you can, other things can be eyes as well.
They even have a mini cargo plane, the C-2 Greyhound, which they use to transport equipment and personnel. While the 6 Seahawk helicopters are designed for rescue and anti-submarine missions. These Seahawk helicopters can be launched from a specific part of an aircraft carrier. We also made a deep dive into the sea, air, and land components of the nuclear triad. So subscribe for more videos.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, well, I know some of you don't like AI tele, but I feel like, like it's decent info. Graphics are good. I like the graphics, that's the thing. Like, I like to watch stock footage and somebody talking, I'm fine with it. But whenever graphics are involved, this gives you better like vision or how it's gonna work, right? AI Tele had a really good video on like Maduro and how they captured it. I really like that, like how it showed how they went in, how they grabbed it, how a helicopter had that maybe a sonic device on it, which is awesome. Alright, well, if you like my next one, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.